Om Vang Manasi Pratishthitam Mano Me Vachi Pratishthitam Aviravirmohedhi Vedasya Ma'ani Sthaha Shrutam Me Ma Prahasihi Anena Dhitena Horatran Samdadhami Ritam Vadishyami Satyam Vadishyami Tanmamavatu Tadvaktaramavatu Avatu Mam Avatu Vaktaram Avatu Vaktaram Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So we finished with you first three chapters, our first three parts of the first chapter, which Shankaracharya considers to be only for the initiate, for the people with realization. Now we are moving into second and fourth chapter and fifth, which will be the final of Aitareya, which belong to our profane level for us, and knowledge for normal people. Purushe ahava ayam adito garbho bhavati. Yadetat retas tadetat sarvebhyo ngebhyo stejah sambhutam atmanyevatmanam bibharti tadyada striyam sinchati athainam janayati tadasya prathamam janma. Now, this chapter number 4 will speak about three births of man. In the male, first the unborn child becomes. This is the idea of this male dominating society. This, which is seed, is the force and heat of him, that from all the parts the creature draws together for becoming. Therefore he bears himself in himself. And when he casts it into the woman, 'tis himself he begets. And this is the first birth of the spirit. Now, Purusha, in the Purusha, I will go literally word by word. Purushe ha vai. It is indeed in Purusha, ayam aditah garbhah bhavati. This first garbhas, this first embryo is within man. Tadeta tretas, and that is the seed or the semen. Tadetat sarvebhyah angebhyah tejas, and that is the tejas, the light, the heat, the energy from all the limbs. So it is considered that the seed or the semen collects all the data, all the mm, genetic data from all the limbs, and it is very true. You know, genetic code is actually projecting you with specifics. Yes? That's why our children are similar to us, to parents. Yeah? And we are similar to our parents because we actually gathered their energy or their specifics into that particular genome. That genome is not only a human one, but also specifically belonging to those parents. So when the man casts the seed, it is gathered from all his limbs, the energy, the information, yes, put into this genome, genetic code. So when it is Atman Yev Atmanam Bibharti, so he bears himself by himself, as it were. He carries within himself the seed. And by the way, this is the law for all creatures, not only for man. Though we speak about Purusha here, it is for the plants, for the trees. The seed of the tree will produce only that particular tree. Yeah. The seed of the animal will produce only that animal, not some other animal. So it's inbuilt, and there is something specific from the body of the being. So tad yadastriyam sinchati, and when he casts this into the woman, athainam athainat janayati tadasya prathamam janma, and he begets himself in her, so to say, he conceives tadasya prathamam janma. That is his first birth. First birth is conceivement, conception. He throws the seed into a woman, and the garbha, the embryo, is conceived. Tat striya atma bhuyam gacchati yatha svamangam tatha tasmad enam nahinasti sasyaitam atmanam atragatam bhavayati. This is also, when I was reading this in Auroville, our feminist people were very angry with me. It becomes oneself with a woman, and therefore it does her no hurt. So she is identified with the embryo totally. That's why the embryo does not hurt her. And she cherishes this self. Of course, she feeds him with her body of her husband, this self of her husband that has got into her womb. Sabhavayitri bhavayitavya bhavati tam stri garbham bibharti Sograyeva kumaram janmano gredi bhavayati sayat kumaram janmano gredi bhavayati atmanameva tad bhavayati esham lokanam santatyai evam santatahi me lokaha tadasya dvitiyam janma. When I read, I reconstruct sometimes the sandhis, like santatya evam, it was santatyai evam. So she cherisher, she the cherisher, must be cherished. Sa bhavayitri, she who supports the supporting the being, bhavayitavya, should be supported. So the woman bears the unborn child, and the man cherishes the boy even from the beginning he is born here. So Grayeva Kumaram Janmano Gre, at the beginning, from the beginning of his birth, he adhibhavayati. And whereas he cherishes the boy ere it is born, it is verily himself that he cherishes for the continuance of these worlds. So when the boy is born and he is supporting the boy, and the mother first in the womb, and when he is born, and then they support him, feed him, educate him. That's how they support the future. Yeah, the the continuance of these worlds and their peoples. For it is even thus the thread of these worlds spinneth on unbroken. So it continues. It continues to unfold. The evolution of consciousness can continue in the body. That's why it was so important for the kings to have a progeny. Yes, because you collect everything, it is your genome, you put it into your progeny, and he continues. And this lineage of the kings, uh, or of the any lineage, any gotra of the Brahmins, for example, is also very important. They want to know their lineage. Yeah? Who was your father, grandfather, and so on and so forth. Because that is actually what is happening here in the body, how we support and develop that particular lineage. And it is considered that this body and its capacity is somehow connected to the capacity of consciousness. Uh, and that's why when you are born the king, you are the king. And from here, this idea of being born in particular varna, that you belong to that varna. And not only because of and not only because of the uh, genome which is taken from your parents, because if your parent was a haircut, a barber, then everything what he had in his body, this barbership wood, that capacity to be a barber, is passed through genetic code to another body, as it were. So your instrument will be more ready to be a barber. But there is another element of the soul. We will speak about it, which is adding to it. Yeah, something. That's what Krishna did when he mixed varnas in the Gita. So when he mixed varnas, now the souls do not know where to go and whom to be. Because in the barber now family, the Brahmin can be born, and in the Brahmin family, some Shudra can be born. So Shudra in the terms of the development of the soul. So the body does not fit for the needs of the soul. So there are two lineages are going on. One is the body. That's we are talking now in Aitareya about the body. We are not talking about the soul. It's only about the body here, this particular chapter. Yeah. Pitriyana, that's what Pitris are about. Pitris are our ancestors who built up this lineage, and we follow that Pitris lineage. And there is also Devayana. Devayana is the development of the soul, which is not connected to Pitris anyhow. The soul is choosing this particular experience in this Pitriyana lineage because it needs it for its own self development. And that is the problem, the complexity of our birth. So, okay, so this is his second birth when he is born to the mother and is fed by father and mother, supported. And then the third birth. Sosyayam atma punyebhyah karmabhyah pratidhiyate athasyayam itara atma kritakrityo vayogatav praiti sa itav prayanneva punarjayate tadasya tritiyam janma. Lo, this is the spirit and self of him, and he makes it his vice-generant, vice-generant for the works of righteousness. It's an old language. Now, this is other self. This is his other self. When it has done the works it came to do and has reached its age, lo, it goes hence, and even as it departs, it is born again, punarjayate. And this is his third birth of the spirit. Now, I will go word by word. So, Asya Ayam Atma, and that is his self. What is interesting that Atman, self, is also the body. And in the Veda, Atman means the body and not really the inborn self. So we have several selves. We have Annamayam Atma, a self made of matter, Pranamayam Atma, self made of prana, yeah. Manomayam Atma, self made of manas, Vijnanamayam Atman, we will read about this in Taittiriya, self made of supermind, and Anandamayam Atma, self made of bliss. So these are all Atmans. Yeah? One by one, they go down and build like these, Russian dolls, doll within the doll. But final self is physical self. Now, this is his Atman. Punyebhyah karma bhyah pratidhiyate. Mm, and it is from the punya karmas, from the meritorious karmas, that it is being established here. Asyasyayam atma krita krityo vayogatav praiti. And when he is getting old, he gets another self. Saitav prayan neva punarjayate. And having gone from here, he is born again. and it is his Tritiyam Janma, his third birth. First, first birth is conception. The seed is cast from the man into the woman. She bears him within herself. Then he is born. He lives his life, becomes old. That is his second birth. And once he is reborn again, it is his third birth. Now, and he is back to normal. He is back to that person who will be conceiving another person. So here, this is the coverage of our reincarnation, how we are born and reborn again and again. This is the vision of the Upanishads and the whole Hinduism, as you know. Oh, now they are coming. They realized that fine the email is there. Hmm. Oh, I will say a few words. Sorry, Rinku. The time has shifted and I informed you too late.
Okay.
Okay. It's in the recording. We were discussing other things for half an hour, just waiting for
No,
others to
no
join.
issue.
So,
No
so
issue.
no issue. Okay, great. So I'm finishing with Aitareya today because you told me that I have to go to Vedas. So
Oh, yes. I'm waiting for that.
you are waiting. That is- okay, wait a bit. Because the Upanishads are the intermediary link without which we would not understand the Vedas well. But once we see the Upanishads, we will have a kind of a framework which allows us to see and trace back the Vedic knowledge, to our modern language. That's why we do it. It's a long introduction to the Vedic studies. But the Vedic studies are profound. It is really something. Okay. So three births. By the way, these three births are also interlinked with Pancha-Agni-Vidya. There is an ancient ritual which was the knowledge by Rajarshi, by the Rajarishis, not by Brahma rishis, not by Brahmins, but by Kshatriyas and the kings, and that is called Pancha-Agni-Vidya. This Pancha-Agni-Vidya is expressed in Chandogya. You can find this ritual in Chandogya Upanishad. By the way, Chandogya itself is non-Brahmanic literature. It's quite interesting. It belongs to Kshatriyas, to the kings. And you can see it even in the language there, that it is not Brahmanic language. It's a very strange language. So Panchagni-Vidya speaks about two major circles. One circle is um, cycles, let us say, cycles. One cycle is this, which is described here in Aitareya. So first you cast the seed into the woman as the fire. Seed itself is Soma. It's Agni Shoma. Woman is the fire. Woman conceives, or how to say, not conceives, but mm, consumes the seed and becomes the seed. Yeah. So the fire is consuming, and the seed, the soma, is being consumed. So it is thrown into the woman. It is in the fire, grows into another embryo. Then once it is happening, the woman becomes the food for the fire of the child in her. Child eats her up, as it were, from within. When he is born, she feeds him with the milk, and that milk is soma, and he is the fire. So she casts the soma onto the fire. Now he is the fire. Now he is fed and he grows, and then he is offered to the burial fire of samadhi. So his body is taken by the fire, and then he goes and he is the food, the soma. And then, as full of soma, he goes to the moon, and there on the moon, and that is this Agnividya's path of the Pitris. So you go to the moon, and on the moon he is met with the gods who consume him, all his experiences which he got as Soma, he gives away his Soma to them, to the Devatas. The Devatas which invested into this body are taking all his experience, all his impressions from life, and by those impressions they change their consciousness, as it were. And he, being emptied by them, falls back on earth. And when he falls back, he falls as a rain, and the rain is falling into the fire of earth, into the Agni. Again, this Agni Shoma ritual, oblation of Soma into the fire of earth. And then he is growing as greenery, food, and food is full of Soma. Soma is that greenery, juice, sap, and it is being eaten by man, again, Soma on the fire of man, and then from his body he gathers the seed as a Soma and casts it into the fire of woman. Now I got the full cycle to the moon and back to earth, and from earth back to moon. This is Pancha-Agni-Vidya ritual. I know it makes a little sense to us, but these are archetypal ways of thinking. Yeah? Our soul is going somewhere and carrying some experience, yes, which we acquired in this reincarnation, and it is needed for the cosmos to change. It seems that we are changing the cosmos through our own experience, feeding the cosmic devatas which are standing behind nakshatras and cannot change. Only through us they can change, through our own experience. Partaking of our own experience, they gather some new information which we got with our soul being involved. Our soul generates soma. It's quite interesting. I'm dealing with this for quite some time with the Jyotishis, because Jyotishis were always surprised. There are two types of, there are grahas and nakshatras. Yeah, grahas belong to our solar system and sun, and there are nakshatras which belong to the bigger cosmos and moon. And here we have moon and sun, two calendars, yeah, sun calendar and moon calendar. We have Pitriyana moon calendar and nakshatras and sun calendar and Devayana. Pitriyana and Devayana, the development of the body and the development of the soul. Two parallel processes of evolution. This is an amazing build-up. Yeah? If you look at it, you would see an amazing understanding of our uh, life on Earth, because we incorporate both. We incorporate the body and the development of the body by passing genetic code forward, and we bring the soul in. We are the soul, which is also evolving here, you know, and going back to the sun, so to say, or is stuck within the solar system, within the grahas. Grahas are influencing the soul's development, and nakshatras the body development, the instruments of knowledge for the soul. So on the right hand, you have the moon and the Dakshina fire, where you make oblation for the Pitris. On the left hand, to the north, because when you face the east, the left hand will be the north. That is Devayana, and the Devatas are there, where you make oblation into the fire for the Devatas, who support your soul development. So here we have it, yeah? This kind of Agnihotra ritual. And you or I, myself, is embodiment of both and something else on earth here, and make oblation um, into the Garhapatya fire of Grihaspati, of the uh, household. I am the uh, I'm a household who is here to produce children of these two paths. I combine both within myself. Yeah. Most probably that's why we have this double nature. We have two eyes, two hands, 2 feet. Our dual nature is actually this, you know, Ida and Pingala, two different streams of vital energy within us, and Sushumna within. So this left and right eye, moon and sun, these two eyes is quite interesting. The right and the left eye, the moon and the sun, the cooling and the heating breath, two nostrils. So this duality is seen throughout Indian culture. Here we dealt with mainly with the instruments of knowledge, the building of the body. Pancha-Agni-Vidya is that building of the body, Pitriyana. But there is also Devayana. Okay, and we are finishing this chapter. Tam tad uktam rishina garbhenu sannanveshama avedam aham devanam janimani vishva shatam ma pura ayasir arakshannadha shieno javasa niradiyam iti garbhaeva itachayano vamadeva evam uvacha. So this is the quotation from the Rig Veda, mm, by Vamadeva, from the Rishi of the fourth mandala of the Rig Veda. Garbhe nu san anvesham avedam aham devanam janimani vishva. Therefore it was said by the sage Vamadeva, I, Vamadeva, being yet in the womb, knew all the births of these gods and their causes. Janimani Vishwa Devanam. In the 100 cities of iron they held me down and kept me in this womb, yeah, we're embodied into the physical body. I broke through them all with might and violence, like a hawk. I soared up into my heavens, while yet he lay in the womb, thus says Vamadeva. So the Vamadeva being in the womb became free, still being in the womb. It is considered that there are few of these beings, like Vamadeva was born um, totally educated. He heard all the Vedas, he learned all the Vedas in the womb. He became liberated already in the womb, as it were, and was born already there free, staying in the womb, still staying in the womb. By the way, what it tells me, I will tell you what it tells me, that all the rishis actually are the avatars. They are involutionary beings. They came and were born in this physical body, but they were already liberated before they were born. They were aware. They were not evolutionary beings. They were not here to evolve to the higher state of consciousness. They had already the higher state of consciousness. They were born to bring that higher knowledge here for humanity in the terms of the Veda, because we are here to follow that path and evolve. We are evolving evolutionary souls. They are involutionary beings. By the way, many of those whom we know were also involutionary beings. For example, uh, Vivekananda was an involutionary being. He was not here to evolve. He was here to complete his mission, to bring his knowledge. And he did it very well. He went to America and changed the whole America. Basically, he changed the whole world with his speech, you know. You remember how he started in America, in the Chicago's. He started with his speech with sisters and brothers of America. And the whole this whole of people, I don't know, hundreds of people from all religions, they got up and they were applauding for 5 minutes after this one word, sisters and brothers of America. He changed America immediately with this one phrase. This is the power of the involutionary being. You cannot have it. Anybody else would say sisters and brothers, nobody would even notice. Yeah. But that's what he put, sisters first and brothers second, changed America. It became such a huge feminist movement immediately. Everybody was in love with this idea. This is the power of involutionary being. By the way, he received the initiation from Ramakrishna by one touch. He touched him at his forehead, and boom, he was already there in the state of kind of nirvana. He was a beautiful. He was my first before I discovered Sri Aurobindo. He changed my life. When he was in America, by the way, many women were in love with him madly. He was so beautiful, big eyes, such a royal being. And one woman came to him and she wanted to trap him. And she said, I want a child from you. No. And it's so interesting how he reacted. He bowed down to her, made pranam to her feet, and said, I am your child, mother. Such a solution. Beautiful. Yeah. This is in a kind of evolved being. He didn't evolve. He was involutionary. He had already all the knowledge. Okay, this is the end of the chapter. Sa evam vidvan asmat sharira bhedad urdhva utkaram yamushmin svargeloke sarvan kaman aptva amrita samabhavat. So, and the one who is knowledgeable from this body um, uh, getting up or out of this body, amushmin svargeloke, in that heavenly world, sarvan kaman aptva, having received or realized all the desires, amritach samabhavat, became the immortal. He is Prito, 4 minutes before. Okay, that's great. Prito, hi. The time has shifted, so from now we will have 1 hour earlier. We are already here. Kind of
Oh, sorry.
finished one chapter. Sorry uh, to inform you so late about it. Most probably you didn't check your email. Um,
Yeah, I checked it right now and I just thought I'll just check if the class is still happening.
yes, we were waiting for quite some time for all of you to join, and then we saw it is not happening, so we started.
Oh.
So it's clear, yes, with this Pancha-Agni-Vidya, more or less what it is, this chapter 4. If you have some questions, please. It's a profound and important issue for the whole Hinduism, for understanding of reincarnation, for understanding of evolution of consciousness, this moon earth relations. What moon is doing is connecting us to nakshatras, because moon is moving through nakshatras. Yeah, it is the husband of all of these nakshatras, yeah, as you know, and there are 27 of them. So, and behind each of these nakshatras there is a specific devata, Vedic devatas. There is Varuna, Mitra, Indra, Vishnu. They are standing there. And so once they are engaged, when we are born in a particular lagna, these nakshatras are being engaged through the moon, and they, how to say, invest into our birth their qualities, the qualities of particular physical appearance, particular physical qualities, vital, mental qualities, particular character, health, and so on. Yeah, we will be born with uh, blue, black eyes, brown hair, blonde hair, red hair, particular smell of the skin, particular diseases, weak, strong body, and so on and so forth. Yeah. It's amazing what is there happening. Their investments, they bring their characteristics into our physical world. And in that particular setting, the soul, when it is embodied, has a particular experience and fight and struggle. And acquiring those experiences, it shares them with them on the moon when it travels to the moon. So we are on the moon, we are paying back their investment percentage back to the bank. We have to pay percentage to them. They will have to get what they want from us. That's why they give us these bodies. This is the vision of the Pancha-Agni-Vidya.
Uh, Vladimir,
Yes,
I was going through a few of our last sessions, and there was this one point where you speak about Vedic concept of free will. So,
yeah,
when you say free will, and when you were talking right now about Swami Vivekananda, that he took a choice of coming for the greater good of humanity.
right.
So, why would one choose? Like, why should one choose this?
It's if he, in his case, better to ask him, of course. Why did he really choose to come down here? Uh, Sri Aurobindo explains this in an interesting way. Why this free soul is choosing to come down and to work for the divine. Oh, Rashi, hello. Sorry, I sent you the email that the time has shifted. We will be earlier 1 hour doing our studies from now on. I know you didn't get it, but next time
So
you
the
come.
class is over.
No, not yet. We were waiting, and now I will spread a little bit that it will be still here. So, but we did it for half an hour at least already.
Oh,
But
yeah, I didn't
it
get the mail.
yeah, it was my mistake that I informed you too late, kind of 15 minutes
Not allowed,
before.
Vladimir. You have to teach extra hour. No, not allowed.
No,
No,
yeah, okay. I will. We will discuss. So we are
because
discussing.
waiting for 6 days for one class. No.
Sure. Yeah, totally with you. Totally with you. We usually do longer classes, and this is the opportunity to do it longer for others, and it will be for you also. So great. So the idea of this of the what was there free will? Yes, it was you. I forgot the question. Sorry. Free will.
So why does one
Ah,
choose?
yes. Yes, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa speaks about this. Yes, he says that there are two types of souls. One is Jivan Koti and other is Ishvara Koti. So Jivan Koti usually are looking only for liberation. They want to get out, yeah, and mukti and disappear beyond. But Ishvara Koti, when they get liberated, these type of souls, they want to come back and to work for the divine in this world, to embody the divine, to bring the divine consciousness into every activity. And we read Isha Upanishad. You remember? We looked into it. Kurvanneveha karmani jijivishet shatam samaha. And being doing here verily works, one should wish to stay a full cycle, full
Yes,
span of life. Why?
yes, yes.
Because thus and not otherwise, karma does not stick to man. So, and this is what creates a new world, new capacities, new possibilities for the divine. He represents the divine in his action here. It's a great honor. It's a great delight to do that. It's much greater delight to be doing the divine work here than just to disappear in the divine.
Mm.
By the way,
Okay.
you find this story coming up all the time in Indian literature. Hanuman, for example, Rama told him, "Come with me to heaven." And he said, "No, I will wait for you here." Why? Because the psychic entity which is built in Hanuman wants to have the divine here on earth. The same with Savitri. Savitri says that if all this is in vain, whatever I try, you still take my Satyavan. So why should I really struggle here? She even complains to heaven. She says, "Why should I struggle? Why should I really fight for humanity here if you take away my beloved? So maybe I should go with him to heaven and disappear with him there forever in the loving embrace and not to have any worries." And then she hears the voice of the divine. "And what would your soul do if you have to go and to report to the divine that the work which you came here to do is undone?" And she feels the shame of this idea of her own survival, of her own delight. She is here to do the work for the humanity, for the divine. She has to stay. She has to bring Satyavan here. She doesn't have to go there and disappear in the glad divine abyss, as Sri Aurobindo says. Glad divine abyss. So you plunge into it, and that's it. And that's the end of the story. No manifestation, no divine in manifestation. Escape brings not the victory and the crown. That's another line. Escape brings not the victory. It's Sri Aurobindo considered the mukti, those who go there and disappear in the glad divine abyss, as an escape. I'm doing it for my own sake. I'm so egoistic that I want only divine and nothing else very fast. Without me doing the work, evolutionary work, I want fast. I want now. I want to destroy all the ties with with the divine in manifestation here and go straight to my origin, where I came from, and disappear in the origin. So what? And then Sri Aurobindo says he is not even sure that it is the final liberation, because once you disappear there, the whole intention of the divine was to embody, to come and to manifest. Then you will be sent again to do the work because you are part of that intention. It's quite amazing to think about this. And these are the issues of India. These are the major issues of Advaita Vedanta. Why India became weak, as Sri Aurobindo says, because there was as this kind of preference to go for the spirit alone, neglecting nature, not to see the divine in nature anymore, as it was seen in the Vedas and in Upanishads. And later it becomes more and more kind of escaping, dropping nature and going into the glad divine abyss. This is a big, big issue.
So
It,
what will be called in Vedic terminology or in Vedic concept? What will we call this free will?
free will.
Yeah.
Actually, manas is bringing for us the capacity of free will, because manas is the power of consciousness or the faculty of consciousness, which allows us to focus on anything we choose.
That is
This,
the same part which helps concentrate, right?
yeah, manas is the power of concentration of consciousness. I can choose to speak on this topic, or I can choose to speak on any other topic. It's my manas who is concentrating on a particular topic can fix my consciousness upon it. So it is done at will. Vamadeva, by the way, the same Vamadeva which we mentioned here in Aitareya, speaks about it in Aham Manur Abhavam Suryascha. I became Manu, I became Surya. So this, to become Manu, to become mental being, Manu is our mental being, is the matrix which creates mentality within us. And this mentality is a free will. Animals do not have so much developed mind, and they have less free will. They are more driven by the spirit, by the necessity, by the perception, by the immediate perception. That's why they don't have issues with memories. They don't make many mistakes in their lives because they don't focus at will on things. They are driven by their own spirit of their species standing behind them. By the way, Mother speaks about this, animals and human beings and their will. I'm deviating more and more, but on this topic is really amazing. She says, she speaks about Kiki. Kiki was the cat, which was always with the mother. And she saw in Kiki developing the psychic entity, psychic individual being. And she says she would not she would not be surprised if Kiki would be born in the next life as a human being. Being close to human beings, the pets, cats, dogs, they acquire a certain capacity of psychicization of their not individualized psychic presence. It becomes more and more individualized in them. They lose the connection with their spirit of the species. They become, how to say, lost, as it were. They trust the human being so much that they lose the connection with their spirit. They are becoming less animals and more humans. And you can see this with pets. And they cannot distinguish anymore from the spirit. Their spirit does not really bring the intuition they need to survive in this world. So pets cannot survive in the world. They cannot find the food. They do not know what to eat. They can eat poisonous food because they trust man. They become weak. They need, they're human beings. They become weak. They need treatment of the human beings now. So they lose that connection, that contact with their own spirit. And I could see that we have here 16 cats. We had 16 cats here in our barn. They are wild cats. But we came to them, we started to feed them, to take care of them. We gave them sport and this and that. And some of them came close to us and started to pet them. They started to like us, some of them. And when coyotes appeared, and coyotes come always before spring, they destroyed these cats. The first cats were killed, all of them, which were closest to human beings. Our best patted cats were killed, became food for these coyotes, because they started to lose the contact with their spirit, their cat spirit, which knows what to do, how to behave in the wild world. They started to trust human beings, and they paid for this with their lives. This is something to think of. The free will. That's about free will, I'm saying.
Can you elaborate more on the part where today, right now, when you explained that the seed is in the woman. And she is the one who fires up with her own body and flesh the coming generation.
Right. I will have to say a few words for Rashi. We read the chapter
Yeah.
4, which is about the birth of the child. First birth, there are three births here according. First birth is inside Purusha, the seed is being formed, and the seed represents all the limbs of the Purusha. That's why our children resemble their parents, because actually the seed, the genome, the genetic code was collected from the parents. So, and the seed, once it is formed, cast into the woman as the fire for the growth. So, woman takes the seed, she is a receiver. That is his first birth, the conception. That's why when he is first born, it is as the embryo in the womb of the woman. Then she feeds him within, then she brings him to birth, feeds him outside with her milk and food. That is his second birth, when he is born out and lives his life. And his third birth, it is him being cast into the funeral fire, where he is at Samadhi, and he is going with his spirit away, and he is born again into the woman, and that is his third birth. So there are three births. Yeah, it's quite interesting. Yeah? First conception, then life, then funeral, and born again to the womb. So this is what Aitareya speaks. And every time it is Agni and Soma. Soma is cast into the Agni. Soma as the seed cast into the fire of woman, and it is considered to be the fire actually when the conception is made. So the seed is cast into the fire, and then from that the embryo is formed, and woman is feeding him with her body, with her food. She becomes food for that fire, that womb, that embryo. He is the fire and she is the food. She makes, she feeds him. When he is born, she feeds him with her milk. uh, Milk is Soma and he is the fire, receiving the Soma into the fire. Yeah. And then he consumes the food. He is the fire, consumes this greenery. Greenery is Soma from heaven. Yeah? And then he is cast as the food into the fire, Samadhi. And again fire, again Soma. He goes to the moon, he becomes the food, Soma, for the devatas who are consuming him, consuming his experience, his Soma, until he's emptied. And then he falls back into the earth as a rain, as the Soma falls into the fire of earth from which the greenery is born. And that greenery is Soma, which man consumes as a fire, that very man who is born, and produces the seed, which is the Soma cast into the fire. So this is the circle of Pancha-Agni-Vidya, which I was describing. So this is the full.
Robin, I couldn't understand the part wherein you said the part before it becomes the green and then it's cast back into the.
Oh, he becomes Parjanya. He becomes the rain. Rain is seen as the conception by heaven of earth. Heaven is father, earth is mother, and heaven is conceived by rain. Rain brings in her drops, in its drops, the rays of the sun, as it is described in the Brahmanas. So in every drop of rain, there is a ray of the sun, there is an energy, and it falls into the earth from which the greenery grows. And greenery is Soma embodied, the juice, sap, that living substance which
Now,
creates the bodies.
now when I look at the forest, I will be completely lost, I think.
That is, yes, that is our body. Without the forest, without the greenery, there would be nothing, nobody here. There would be nobody here. It's all coming from the plants, from the soma. What is that plant? What is soma? What is actually animated matter? Yeah, because plants are growing, producing seeds, and reproducing themselves. They are actually alive. They they are born from the seed, they grow, they produce the seeds, and they die. Amazing. And they have within themselves the substance, the animated matter, which becomes food for us, which creates our animated matter, tissues.
Maybe we should have a schematic diagram to understand this better. I mean, there is an understanding, but to really, really, embrace it.
To draw it, you mean to
Yes,
draw.
like a cyclic or a visual something, because it's more than just mental. It's just, like to imagine there is sun ray in a drop of rain. I stopped there only. I was just living, I started to live in that, and I couldn't hear anything further than that. And the next time I heard it, but just to absorb, maybe we need the visual diagram or schematic.
Yes, when the rain falls into the earth, and that is the oblation of the soma on the fire of earth. Yeah? Earth is the consumer, consumes rain. Then earth produces the plant, mm, the embryo, the seed, and that plant becomes the food for man to consume. Man becomes the fire, consumes the food, and produces the seed. The seed is cast into the fire of a woman. She produces the plant, or the embryo, the child. The child is fed by her. She is the food. He is the consumer of the food. Mm. You just just follow the track. What is happening to our life? And then he consumes that very soma from outside when he is born, and he is fed by his mother by the milk which he consumes from those greeneries, yes, which are already there. So this kind of circle within the circle going on, and then he is growing and becoming himself full of this soma, and at the end of his life he is full of experiences, impressions, feelings, emotions. It is all that which the devatas of standing behind nakshatras, which invested into this body, need. So he is put into this fire, funeral fire of samadhi, and he is going to the moon. And that is Pitriyana. He goes to the moon. On the moon, he meets his makers, his investors, the devatas who invested into his body, mind, and life. When he was born in a particular lagna, he faced particular nakshatras and the moon, and they invested into his body. Now they want percentage. They want to get from him the soma. Give us the impressions, they say. And he feeds them. He becomes food for them. And they grow from that. They grow in consciousness, in understanding, in a new experience. They change. The cosmos constantly changes. The devatas, which are typal beings, evolve through man, grow
Vladimir,
through man. Yes.
uh, in that part wherein you said the after the body is put into fire, then the cosmos feeds. I mean, cosmos feeds from that being. How is that? It's not really. I'm a little confused.
Yes, but we lived here for something. Yeah, we lived not only for ourselves, but also for this world. and we acquired certain experiences. Our life means something. Yes, it's a lot of impressions, a lot of wisdom we acquired. Yeah? And that kind of thing is a food for the devatas. They want it. That is their major food.
Okay, and you said about initially when the body is, I mean, the body, the seed when it comes to the earth, before that, the nakshatras also given their
Yes,
character.
when you are born in this world, yeah, in your particular place and time, on earth. Earth is global. You're born on in India, for example. This is a particular place. Yeah, the earth is round. So when you face the sky in the moment of birth, you see who are your investors. They invest into you in that particular time. The grahas and nakshatras. You are born under a particular constellation. And the world, the 1 year is the world. Every time in a particular season, a particular nakshatras are guiding your time and your space. And they are behind them a particular devata, Varuna, Mitra, Indra, Vishnu, and you will be born with particular characteristics, yeah, which this devata is guiding.
Ah, now I get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not only this, the Devtas guiding, then when we go back, they will extract the experience, the same Devtas, right?
Absolutely. Yes. They want your percentage back. They invested into you now. Please pay back the percentage which you acquired
So we
with
are
our
praying,
investment.
we are all the time praying to gods, like they're very religious people. And then there are also people who are very much into astrology, you know, and they're following those things. I mean, I don't even know what all that is, but a lot of people do that. So it is like actually reverse, right? I mean, they are
Yeah,
giving, we are doing some work for them, but we are only praying to them.
we are here to change the cosmos. We are here coming for the purpose of work in the cosmos. Everything what we acquire with the soul, which is coming from the sun, not from the nakshatras, it's from Devayana, yes, from another source. It is representative of the divine, the spark. Around this spark, there is a specific extraction of soma is taking place, a specific impressions, a specific food. We generate a specific food because we represent the divine here as souls. And that food is very tasty and very wanted by the devatas. They cannot
So,
generate that particular sap.
so Vladimir, is it the investment which Devtas and the Nakshatras made in us, it goes back to them, but with a higher consciousness, with a more, I don't know.
They acquire, yes, everything we have because that is helping them to participate through us in this cosmos.
So it raises their, I mean, it's in a way their sadhana to invest in us. I don't know if I'm making
Yes,
sense.
it's their sadhana to invest and to gain knowledge through our experience. Yes. They are typal devatas. They would never change if we would not do this work of the sacrifice. And this is the sacrifice of the Veda. Now, you see, dealing with Upanishads, we are kind of deconstructing or looking into this Vedic paradigm more and more. Because when we will come to the devatas, we will see how it is, yes, what they are there to do. And that will become clearer to us why they are investing into us, why they are coming, what is happening when the devatas are involved. They are typal beings, but through us, they become as if they can change or acquire new qualities, new powers, new understanding, which otherwise they would not be able to get.
So can we say that the human being is in a way the instrument through which the evolution and this whole cosmic consciousness gets evolved into space?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yajamana. Yajamana is our soul. And within Yajamana, our psychic being, which is embodied here, collecting the data for the cosmos to change and changing the cosmos, eventually everything is changed because of this Yajamana. Within the depth of our heart, there is Adhyajna Purushottama. As Krishna says, I am within the heart of every man, seated within the heart, Adhyajna. This is something to how it was arranged. That's why all the devatas are drawn to these psychic beings, because they feel the presence of the Supreme within him. They are his faculties, and he is the Lord. Okay, great. This is kind of clear. Chapter number 5. I wanted to finish today. Maybe it's too much already. We did quite a bit. Maybe I will not be able to change with this chapter. Let us say I will maybe skip this chapter from the Aitareya. You will read it by yourself. If you would have some questions, I will just briefly say what it is about. Okay? The most important passage is here. Yadetad hridayam manaschaitat. Samjnanam ajnanam vijnanam prajnanam medhadrishtir dhritir manishir. Matir manisha jyutih smritih sankalpah kratorasо kama vasha iti sarvan yevaitani prajnanasya namadheyani bhavanti. What is heart, that is mind. Samjnanam, ajnanam, there is the whole list of the faculties of consciousness following it. And this list is important. We looked into it, samjnanam, ajnanam, vijnanam, prajnanam already with you. You remember we started these hidden secret operations within our consciousness. But the list is longer. Medha, Drishtir, Dhritir, Matir, Manisha, Jyotir, Smritir, Sankalpa, Kratur, Aso, Kama even, Vasha. Iti Sarvanyevaitani Prajnanasya Namadhyani. But these are all the names of Prajnana. Prajnana is Brahman. Why Prajnana? And this is interesting. All these faculties are here for one particular reason, for prajnana, for the objective viewing of oneself. And that reminds me of what Mother says, the divine objectivized himself in order to see himself in detail. The whole manifestation is made for one particular reason, that he wanted to perceive himself objectively, to see himself. And that is prajna. All the faculties, our inner knowledge, our inner bliss, our self-identity, all the details or comprehension, all these are only supporting powers for one particular manifestation of the consciousness of seeing himself. He wanted to see himself. And now he sees himself. You see the world. I see you. That is him. I see him. It is him seeing himself. It's me seeing you and you seeing me. And it was generated and made by Prajnana. And even Aitareya dares to say even more. Esha Brahma, this is Brahman. Esha Indra, this is Indra. Esha Prajapati, and this is Prajapati. Ete Sarve Devaha, and all these gods, it is Prajnana. Imani cha pancha mahabhutani, all these five great elements. Prithvi, Vayu, Akasha, Apo, Jyotinshi, Etani, Imani cha Kshudra Mishraniva. And those who are born mixed with small beings, Bijani, Bija Nitarani, and those who are born from the Bijas, Itarani cha Andajani, and those who are born from the anda, from the eggs, Jarujani, and those who are born from the womb, Svedajani, and those who are born from the sweat, Chodbhijani, and those who are born open, bursting open, Ashvach, Gavach, Purushach, the, the horses, the cows, the man, Hastinach, the elephants, the elephants are mentioned here. Yat Kimchedam Prani, whatever is breathing, Jangama moving, Patatri flying, Yat Chastavaram, whatever is staying, Sarvam Tat Prajnanetram. All that has the eye of Prajnana, perceives objectively. Prajnane pratishthitam, established in Prajnana. Prajnane trolokach. The world has the eye of Prajnana. Prajna pratishtha. Prajnana is the foundation. Prajnanam Brahma. Prajnanam is Brahman. This is an important message at the end of Aitareya. Everything is done for one reason, to manifest the divine. Manifest. Okay, this is the end of Great Aitareya. And Saetena Prajnanatmana Smarlokat Utkramyamushmin Svargeloke Sarvan Kaman Aptvam Retach Samabhavat. And by the strength of the wise and seeing self, the sage having soared from this world, ascended into the other world of paradise, and there having possessed desire, put death behind him. Yea, he put death behind him. Amritah Samabhavat, he became immortal. Great. This is the end of Aitareya, and next time we will take one chapter of Taittiriya, and I will do 5. Afterwards, we will have 5 sessions on Rigveda. I must touch upon Taittiriya once. One chapter only, not the first, not the second, but the 3rd chapter, which is called Bhariguvalli, because that is the fundamental vision of the evolution of consciousness. Okay? Sorry for delay today, but I had to do it because of time messed up. So if you have some questions for Aitareya, please go ahead. For the whole Aitareya. What Aitareya was telling you. It was telling you about manifestation, how we are born, how the spirit was born in this material form, Murti, how we are born from father and mother, and how we are reincarnated. And all this is for one particular reason, is to perceive himself in the body, to see himself objectively. That's the whole Aitareya in one sentence. All right. No questions.
Vladimir, in
Yeah.
last chapter, I think it was. Can you go to the last chapter?
Okay.
There is this. Oh, you've closed. Sorry.
No, I come back. Chapter 5. Here it is.
The second quote, the one about different parts, the head and the heart, and yeah, the second one,
Mhm.
which is the heart. I couldn't understand the part wherein it's talking about wisdom and intellect and vision and continuity of purpose. The the second
You are
one.
reading the translation, yeah. Yes. You see, this is the translation of Sri Aurobindo before, in the early days when he arrived in India. Concept and will, and analysis and wisdom. This is how he translates these samjnanam, ajnanam, vijnanam, and prajnanam. And intellect, medha, and vision, drishti, and continuity of purpose, dhritir. Um, Let us analyze how our consciousness actually acts and holds on to its own form in multitude creation. What is required for it to stay? So we need these four secret operations. Definitely, we already analyzed them. We need also a certain kind of um, intellect or the intervention of the mind. We need a vision, drishti, which is discerning part from the part, analyzing it, seeing separately things. We need continuity of purpose, that means dhriti. We have to have a power which is holding onto a particular image of things. Yeah. Matik, we have to have an opinion or memory which is built within. Opinion is a particular memory or habit in which we are acting upon this from the habit point of view. Manisha, some kind of um, understanding. Uh, pain and memory and volition. Sankalpa kratoraso. Uh, operation of thought. Vitality in desire and passion. It is kratoras and kama. In vasha. Vasha is, he translates as desire and passion. Vasha is passion. It's actually as a mastery, as a possessiveness of some kind. If we analyze them, we need the whole hour. If I would really go through all of them, how consciousness functions. I made once long ago an article on this one particular passage. If I find it, I will send it to you so you could read them through and think for yourself how consciousness operates in this embodied state. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
It's
Could
heavy.
it be, Vladimir, that whatever we do, if we connect to the greater purpose of what it is, then we are anyway getting wisdom. We are anyway connecting with
Wisdom
the
must be there already. Wisdom is inbuilt in consciousness. These are the parts which are inbuilt in consciousness in order
they are
for it
the
to see.
names of the eternal wisdoms. So it's experiencing all this. All this sounds like experiences of living on earth.
Right, right. We may be not aware, but it is there inbuilt. That's why we become aware of it, yeah, because it's already there. And even desire, karma, even passion and vitality and speed, duty. What is this duty? Speed, swiftness. It's a quality of consciousness. It seems. Yeah? Consciousness swiftly can decide, can see, can perceive. Yeah? Doesn't need a long delay or laborious work or something. Okay, I will stop here for today. Sorry for today's messed up class. Next time we will take Bhariguvali and yeah, and next time we will come to the Vedas and I will take different devatas and we will look into them, how the Veda is building up its own approach to knowledge. Okay, I'm closing with mantra.
So from next
Om.
time, instead of 7:30 India time, it will be 6:30 India time or 8:30 India
Yes,
time.
6:30.
Okay. This is only for like that time change that happens in the US, or it's like permanent forever till we are alive, Vladimir?
Till I think for us it is kind of permanent for now for this course because we in 5 sessions we will finish. So yes, yeah.
Okay. Thank
Okay.
you.
Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha Sarve Santo Niramayah Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha. Hari Om.